Afternoon, everyone, and you may notice I'm in a slightly different spot than I was in the last video. With better lighting, at least. I might actually have to do it. Some of the outside videos a bit on this table right here. Thank you, puppy, for that. Domino is being fussy, so I compromised and basically sat on the love seat, which means she can come up and snuggle with me and get the attention she wants without having to want to constantly go back and forth inside. But that's not what you want to hear me talk about today, I'm assuming. You want to hear me talk about, wait a minute, I just had that. There it is. Anyway, you want to hear me talk about who would win. And as you can see, who would win this week is Mewtwo versus Deoxys to, again, do the Pokemon battles, which I normally have scheduled for the beginning of the month leading up to Sun and Moon. Now, I do know this fight actually did take place in one of the mangas. And by the way, I'm not factoring in the giant spoon into the fight because that's just stupid. Plus, I don't see how that actually is possible. Mewtwo never summons a giant spoon in the game, so, as far as I know, so I'm not going to really count that. But that being said, I know that he did defeat base form Mewtwo did defeat base form Deoxys. However, I'm not. I mean, yeah, if it comes down to a base form fight, then yes, technically speaking, Mewtwo's actually already won. However, I'm not going to, I'm going to take that out of the equation for right now. The way I did actually decide this is that, first off, Mewtwo does get access to his Y Mega Evolution, because he's apparently able to do that naturally, or it is. Deoxys, I decided that we're going to, there's two different ways to look at this fight. We can either do it form by form by form for Deoxys, which, to be fair, I will at least go over which ones stand the best chance of beating which. But I think I'm going to... If Mewtwo can basically transform into Mega Evolution on its own, I decided to give a little leeway for Deoxys in the sense that, let's say it has a piece of a meteorite hanging around its neck, kind of like, a Pokemon would carry an item. So it can actually transform at will into its different forms. I think that would actually be a very plausible, easy way to go about that, I think. So with that being said, let's go over it. Mewtwo stands at 6'7", 269 pounds. HP comes in. Now, Mewtwo is a legendary Pokemon, one of the strongest, and is considered a very savage a fighter. And it's got legendary stats to boot. It's got an HP of about 106, it's got attack of 110, defense of 90, special attack of 154, one of the highest special defense ever, or special attacks ever. Special defense is around 90, and speed is 130. It can learn Confusion, Disable, Safeguard, Swift, Future Sight, Psych Up, which can copy stat changes, Miracle Eye, raises evasion, Psycho Cut, physical psychic attack, 70, which does damage, Power Swaps, which is attack and special attack, Guard Swaps, switches defense. I believe it switches them with the opponents, basically. Recover, you can use Recover 50%, Psychic, standard very powerful attack, Barrier, raises defense, Aura Sphere, Fighting Attack, 80 damage, Amnesia, raises special defense, Mist, which is weird that Mewtwo can learn Mist, stat reduction, and in the case of an actual, when you think about a real world fight, it would probably also help with an evasion. It kind of be like a smoke screen. It help kind of hide you from the opponent. So Me First steals an opponent's move. Psych Strike, which is basically Hyper Beam and does physical damage. Actually, no, it's not hyper. It's 100 base, 100 attacks, so it's 100 special attacks, physical damage, though. Go figure. Then and it can learn Hyper Beam, but not naturally, so we're not counting it. We only go by the natural ones in this. However, Deoxys can learn Hyper Beam. Now, Mega Mewtwo Y, again, attack 106, or HP 106, attack 150, defense goes down to 70. However, special attack is 194, which I think is the highest any, with the exception of maybe Arceus, is the highest any Pokemon has for attack. I'll have to double check Arceus. Which actually I can do that because I'm close enough to the house to have internet access. So let's see. I'm actually going to just check on that. Yeah. Special defense goes up to 120, and its speed goes up to 140. So really, the only thing it drops is its defense, which, yeah, most of Deoxys, that's not going to factor in hugely in this, as most of Deoxys's attacks are not physical based. But let's see now, Arceus, I'm going to say Arceus. Let's see, Arceus now, the god Pokemon. I think it's called the creator, actually. Arceus. Alpha. The Alpha Pokemon. I'm wondering why there's not an Omega Pokemon. Or is there? So let's see. Your stats are defense. Oh no, all of its stats are at even 120. So yes, this thing completely actually outmatches Arceus. With that being said, of course, these are all base stats, by the way. This is not factoring in any training you have done to it. But that being said, it's still Arceus. Arceus in a long time, especially if you gave Arceus the Dark type, which I believe actually doesn't. I believe Mewtwo can learn a technique that lets it actually hit Dark types. I can't remember what it was exactly. I didn't include it because it wouldn't affect it into this fight. But and I could bring it up right now, which, you know what, screw it. I know I'm going off the rails here a little bit, but I am curious. I'm pretty sure I remember Mewtwo able to learn a technique that lets him hit Dark types, because he can learn Pressure. Side Strike, Materialize Attack, it's special. Yeah, the only physical. Oh no, excuse me. The only physical attack that Mewtwo knows is Psycho Cut. Just give me 1 second. Miracle Eye, Guard Swap, Recover, or no, I guess not. I could have swore he maybe learned attack. Maybe it was Deoxys that learned it. I don't know. And just to recap on Deoxys, I want to be sure that which one of his techniques are physical and which one are not for the sake of this fight. Okay, Deoxys definitely knows a couple more physical techniques than Mewtwo does. Which going back, let's get Deoxys right now. It can learn a lot of the same techniques as Mewtwo. However, it can learn Wrap because of its tentacles, physical attack, Leer, Nightshade, very interesting ability, which that could be a good hit from a Nightshade. Doesn't matter. Nightshade's one of the weirdest techniques because it actually does damage equal to a user's level. So it's the stronger your opponent is, the more powerful this attack is. Nightshade is not an attack you take lightly. Teleport. Easy getaway. That's not something Mewtwo can learn. Knockoff, again. Pursuit, Dark type. Can learn Snatch, which can steal healing stat damage. It's Snatch. What the hell is Snatch? Steals the effects of any healing or stat-changing move the opponent has. Could play a factor. Psycho Shift. Uses Psychic Suggestion, user transfer stash problem. Yeah, they both have that one, I believe. No, they don't actually. Yeah, no, I just realized Deoxys actually has a very different moveset. Zen Headbutt can flinch. It's 80 with a 90 accuracy. Another physical attack. Recover. They can learn Recover as well, 50%. Zen Headbutt. Psycho Boost. Cosmic Power, which Cosmic Power absorbs mystical power from space to raise defense and special defense. Psycho Boost, which is essentially a special attack, psychic, full power charge. It's like Giga Impact. Harshly reduces a special attack. Actually, I should say it's like Overheat for Psychic types. And then Hyper Beam. Now, its stats are different. Now, a normal base Deoxys. In fact, all the Deoxys only have 50 HP. They are extremely low. They are not that bulky in terms of how much life they have. Attack-wise, though, a normal Deoxys is 150 in terms of pure attack, 50 in terms of defense, 150 in special attack, 50 in special defense, and 150 in speed. Now, basically what happens is the majority of these get flopped around depending which form it takes. So again, it's the only thing that stays constant really is the HP. After that, attack form's attack obviously goes up. 180 for its attack, giving it a much higher attack power stat than even Mewtwo Y. 20 for its defense, probably the lowest defense of any legendary Pokemon ever. And probably one of the lowest defense of any Pokemon ever, period. And this is base, mind you. Special attack, 180, so it nearly matches... well, not nearly. It comes close to matching Mewtwo Y. Special defense is 20. All its defenses go to shit in attack form. 150 for its speed, as always. Speed goes down to 90. Attack and special attack go down to 70, but its defense goes all the way up to 160 and special defense to 160. So it's a tank, basically. And then you go into speed form, which is actually, believe it or not, probably the most practical form for it to have, because all of its stats pretty much get rounded up to defenses are 90s, offenses are 95s, and its speed goes up to 180. So it actually becomes it's actually the most practical combat-wise, because it's the one that is the most well-rounded and balanced of them. Now, how does the fight take place? Well, I don't know. There are two Pokemon that actually exist in the world together. I'm sure they can meet up. They met up in the manga, so I don't know. Figure it out. Fighting over territory. One of them sees the Aura and the fight begins. So Mewtwo's going to go in. Maybe starts off with an Aura Sphere. Deoxys dodges. Goes immediately into Speed form to avoid. Or actually no, because it's an Aura Sphere, and I'm sure Deoxys is a Psychic type, so it can figure out some things as well. It's going to go to Defense form, just tank the hit, then go immediately into Attack form, and come in with probably a Pursuit or a Nightshade. Mewtwo's going to avoid that. But the early stages of the fight is going to be a lot of avoidance, so it's probably not going to really come into play. They're really not going to hit each other for the first few moments of the fight. Then Mewtwo's probably they're both going to raise their stats accordingly. So, getting out any of the stat raises out of the question. They're probably going to avoid each other while raising each other's stats. Then Mewtwo's going to use Me first. And no matter what, Deoxys, with the exception of the defense form, and I don't think he's probably in defense form. Deoxys is probably on the offense at this point. He's probably zooming in for attack. Deoxys is going to probably use which attack is Deoxys probably going to use? Well, I think he's not going to use Psycho Boost. Psycho Boost is like a last resort kind of move. What I think he's more likely going to do is maybe try to use Psychic or Hyper Beam, just because two Psychic types will probably try to go against each other. They won't do much damage, but they'll still hurt each other. More likely Hyper Beam, just Hyper Beam, and then all of a sudden Mewtwo comes in with a Hyper Beam and just strikes at Deoxys. Luckily, Deoxys is the far faster of the two in attack form. So he just gets out of the way. Just now Mewtwo has to recharge a little bit. Deoxys comes in with a Nightshade attack, hits Mewtwo. So now Mewtwo is definitely in pain, just because if you're maxing these guys out, they're in pain. They don't have the HP to really suffice. But then he uses recovers a little bit, comes in with a Psycho Cut, strikes Deoxys' attack form. Deoxys' attack form is seriously hurt. Also uses recover, then switches over to Speed form, and then starts blitzing Mewtwo. Mewtwo at this point is like, okay, now I can't take this guy on in my base form, so I'm going all the way out to Mega Evolution. So now it's Mega Mewtwo Y versus Deoxys currently in Speed form. Deoxys still has the major speed advantage, so he's able to blitz and... Oh, hold on one second. I'm going to see my father coming inside. Go down. One second. So, anyway, at that point, Deoxys is blitzing Mewtwo, who's definitely a lot tougher now, can definitely take the hits better. So he's blitzing, probably trying maybe Nightshade, knock off, whatever he can. Mewtwo's able to avoid a couple of times. I imagine Mewtwo would definitely try to avoid the Nightshade the second time around. At the same time, he uses a Psy Strike, which is essentially a super. Actually, I have it right up here. One second. Where you just went to Mewtwo, Psy Strike, which does 100. The user materializes an odd Psychic Wave to attack target. Does physical damage despite being a special attack. So technically, does physical damage. So Psy Strike then counterattacks with probably like Zen Headbutt, but Deoxys is in the weaker form right now, so he's just Deoxys is reeling a bit, but he's overall okay. He uses recover. They both use recover. The problem with this is recover is going to be used a lot in this fight, so we're gonna have to speed ahead a little bit here. So they basically have worn out the ability to use recover. So we're basically breaking it down: Mewtwo Y versus Deoxys being able to change form at will. Who's going to come out on top when they can't recover their abilities anymore? So at that point, now Deoxys knows like I can't recover my strength anymore. So now I got to play this a bit more smart. So now he goes into defense form, and then Mewtwo and him go out again. Now he can't do as much damage to Mewtwo in defense form. He can still hurt him. Like he can still use like. Yes, Domino. Come on, you want to come back out here. She's so indecisive. Just because I'm out here, Domino, doesn't mean you have to be out here. Just because you want me doesn't mean I want you. No means no. Anyway, so no, Domino, you stay out here for a little bit, okay? 1 second. Domino, I'm not going inside with you. Deal with that. Don't let her back out for a little bit. Anyway, sorry, the dog just doesn't know what you want. It's because I'm here and talking. Why, Domino? Anywho. So, where was I? Okay, yeah, Mewtwo's on, Deoxys is on the defensive. He's probably staying mostly with his defense and probably speed form, because attack form just doesn't have the defense to take hits anymore. Mewtwo-Y is gonna take some hits, but he's not going to, he's not going to be as in trouble, because the speed form and the attack form, or speed form and the defense form, are not physically as strong as the other two forms. So, at that point now, it's going to be a battle of attrition. Can Mewtwo overpower Deoxys? Mewtwo definitely has the higher special attack and higher base attack, or normal attack power. But again, in defense form, the attack really doesn't mean much. Physical attack does not mean much, because his defense is 160 to his 150. So, I mean, he might do damage, but it's not going to be enough. Special attacks where he's going to have to come into play, and all of his special attacks are psychic attacks. So, therefore, the psychic type, well, being both psychic attack, it's just going to kind of basically do a little bit of base damage regardless of being strong. It's going to do some damage, but still. So at that point, it's more about Mewtwo being able to maybe outmaneuver Deoxys. Deoxys has enough versatility to basically counter anything. But it also has a different enough moveset that if Mewtwo can get the Me First attack off in the right sense, because speed form Deoxys is very much the faster one, very much 180, nothing Mewtwo can do about that. Then he might see, at this point it comes down to attrition and luck. And in that scenario, when you got attrition and luck going on, I gotta give it slight edge to the versatility of Deoxys, because Me First is all about really the luck of the draw with what attacks Deoxys is going to use against Mewtwo. Now, let's be clear. If, say, he's going to use Pursuit, or he's going to use Nightshade, then I'm probably going to lean the fight over to Mewtwo. Because, I mean, Mewtwo-Y's power, I'm not going to deny, Mewtwo-Y's overall base power is probably the strongest there is. But again, 160 defense to 194 special defense, and special defense against Psychic type. It's one of those things that the Psychic type, honestly, in fact, Psychic, he does half the damage to Psychic. So honestly, his super high attack power actually doesn't mean squat in this point. Because, I mean, yeah, with the exception of, with the exception of nothing. The only thing he has, really, on his, in his roster is Aura Sphere. And that's a fighting type technique. So, a fighting type attack versus does like half damage anyway, or like 50%, or just 1 damage anyway to Psychic. So, type-wise, Mewtwo's at a disadvantage with all of its attacks, with the exception of Me First, which can maybe steal an attack, and that only works if, say, the opponent has an attack that could work against the opponent. So, but Deoxys actually has attacks beyond psychic attacks. It has Nightshade, which is a ghost attack. It has a couple dark attacks. It has a few normal attacks. It has Hyper Beam. It has versatility versus Mewtwo's sheer power, not the ability or attack. So, I mean, I gotta lean then for versatility's sake, and because they're both psychic Pokemon, therefore very intelligent and would know how to maybe strategize on the fly. I gotta side with Deoxys a little bit, but only if it remains in its basically its two most valuable defensive forms, defense and speed form. Speed can outmaneuver, defense can just tank the hits, and both, I mean, they're both low on the attack. But grant 70 attack and defense are 70 attack and special attack are on the low end of a fully evolved Pokemon or a legendary, but it's still solid enough that it could do some damage. 95 attack and special attack definitely can do a bit more. But it's more about wearing him down, the type advantage with its roster. The only way really Mewtwo evens out the playing field is the fact it does have the absurd attack and special attack. And with using Me First, it might luck out in getting, say, either Pursuit, Hyper Beam, or Nightshade. Nightshade's the one where it's definitely going to... Nightshade would take down either of these guys. But Nightshade is definitely the one that would be the deciding factor if he's able to copy Nightshade. But that's if he's able to copy Nightshade. So and that's a luck of the draw scenario. And because if he gets Pursuit, yeah, it's going to have the psychic advantage. But if it's going up against defense form Deoxys, I think defense form Deoxys, and it's a physical attack, so it's not a special attack. It's not using that absurd special attack. So it's 150, granted dark, but 150 physical attack going against a 160 physical defense. So it's, again, dark, so it doesn't get a type advantage, but still, it's not enough, I think, to take Deoxys down with one hit. Unless he hits the speed form Deoxys, then it's a different story. So, and then, I mean, what else do we have? Hyper Beam, frickin', it would tank a Hyper Beam completely. I mean, yes, Hyper Beam is a special attack, and therefore you could get the absurd special attack, but it's a normal attack. And again, 160 defense. It would definitely hurt. I still don't think it would take down Deoxys, though, a defense form Deoxys. And then you have to recharge it. Then Mewtwo becomes at a disadvantage because of that. So I gotta give it to Deoxys, but that being said, it's not a like 100% KO win, break your face in, beat your ass down kind of a win. It's a close match. I'd say it's about 55 to 45 in favor of Deoxys, but mostly because, again, when you're psychic type Pokemon, you're usually highly intelligent. Deoxys is an alien too. Let's get that out of the way. And yeah, it's got the weakness of the core, but at the same time, I'm not factoring that giant spoon in. If any of you who are upset at me for not factoring the giant spoon in, that spoon is stupid. Let's not get over. Let's not do that. Yes, I could see maybe Mewtwo targeting the core, but it's its core, it's its weak spot. It knows to protect that. So, being intelligent, it would know that once it gets to a certain point in the fight where neither of them can recover any health anymore, then it just becomes a matter of who's going to outlast the other. And with diversionary tactics, evasion tactics, and multiple forms where it can go into different types of physical or combative forms, Deoxys is probably going to have the advantage for diversity with its techniques, its attacks, its tactics, and its forms. So, again, I gotta give it to Deoxys 55% to 45% to Mewtwo. But it's a close match. It is. I will not argue anyone who thinks differently, really. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on that. So, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. If, as always, you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review at some point. Ideas for who wins, put those down below in the comment section. I will get to them, I promise. Next week, I am starting up a new thing for next week every month because I enjoy doing the Espada versus the Green Lantern Corps fights. And with the end of Bleach that's happened, and kind of a lackluster ending. I actually didn't mind the ending, believe it or not. It was a rush, yes, but for a rushed ending, could have been a hell of a lot worse. With that being said, I am now doing a monthly Bleach Captain fight. Next week's fight is going to be Yamamoto, Captain Yamamoto, the original head captain, versus Whitebeard from Bleach. So that's going to be that fight next week. But as always, put your ideas for who wins in the comments below. I will get to them eventually, as I'm going to get to a bunch of them later on in the month. Until then, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you folks next time.